and welcome to this week's trade recap. This is where I take you over the trades that I have taken this week, why I took them, and anything I may have learnt from them. And this week, we definitely learn a few things here because I made some so very silly mistakes. And I definitely learnt that although I don't feel so emotional at the moment with trading, there are definitely emotions there, and I really need to have a look at that and where they're going because they have definitely influenced my trading this week. So we're going to run through that now and see what went down. So the first trade I took, I only took 2 trades this week, and they were both on a Monday. So this trade, I was looking at a turtle soup, which is a Asian range reversal, basically. So you break out of a range and then go back down, go back up, whichever way you break out of. So the high is, it actually made the high at 7 o'clock. The Asian session runs from about 1 a.m. my time to until I trade the London Open at 8 a.m. So the previous high was about, it was here. So we did break here, but this was still in the session before the London Open. So we actually, this is the high here. So I'm waiting for price to move down. However, I did not wait. What I did instead was decide to try and get in early. So when this candle happened here at 8 o'clock, I wanted to get a shorter entry on the 1 minute. And the way I do that is you place a ray line. Actually, we're going to hide this one first so it's a bit easier to see. At the end of the 15-minute candle, you place a ray line at the close, and that gives you a level to trade off. You then go into the 1 minute chart and you enter the trade when price closes below this line. So I'm now waiting for price to come and close below here, which it did on this candle. So I thought, brilliant, I'll enter onto that. And I was quite excited. I didn't feel so excited, but at this point I had minus 0.5% on my funded account on the first phase of the challenge, and this was 4.6%. So this would have taken me to 4% if it had succeeded. So seeing that, I thought this was going to be brilliant. I was quite excited that this could put me into a lot of profit, and I didn't admit this to myself how much the emotions were playing in at that moment. And everything went out the window, similar to what I did last week in terms of I tunnel visioned onto a trade, wanting it to win, without paying attention to the rest of price action, or kind of seeing and being able to mold it to what I wanted to see. We've got a range here, we've hit the top, we see weakness because we've got wicks. Although we have a shift here, it doesn't continue, we see wicks. We've got weakness to the upside, therefore it must come down, right? No, absolutely not. That's not how trading works. You can't just mold things to see how you see fit. So I took this trade and very quickly it took me out. I got -1 instead of my 4%, which is what I was hoping for. I also placed the lot size I was supposed to use for this was 9.95, and I think I used 10 lots instead. So I even risked slightly more than 1%, which is silly, very silly. But again, because I was hoping this trade was going to play out, the emotions came in. I jumped into a situation that shouldn't have happened. And as well, if you look at the hourly chart, I'm taking a sell here. Like, if you see these candles, where on earth does it say it wants to go down? Like, I don't know. There's actually a process that I changed in this, because what I do when I get up in the mornings, and this is what happened, what I did pre 5 o'clock. So price was here at that point. I look at the past price action and see what happened, but I replay it and I go candle by candle, and I write out what I'm seeing as price action happens. And so I can then go on to forecast what I'm waiting for the rest of the day. However, as you can see, after that point, we then got these 3 candles, which show a build-up in momentum. These 2 show a build-up in momentum. But because I wasn't looking at that, I didn't add that on to my process of, okay, we've had this prior price action. What is the current price action telling me? Which is what I'm adding in now, is before London Open or before I'm taking a trade is to catch up to the point of taking a trade, just so I'm aware, so I'm not still looking at it from this perspective of what's going to happen in this moment. So we've got a -1 there, a lot learned here, and I didn't pay attention to this point that my emotions were playing in more than I expected it to. This was so egotistical here. Everything about this was just ego. But we move on. So what happens next? We have momentum up, and then we get this candle that says it's struggling to continue. Price is moving down. Now there's a few train of thoughts I'm having here. I have a trade plan that says about trend reversals is when you have momentum up and price reverses, i.e. you get a shift down, I take a trade. I do this by looking at the Fibonacci. Yeah. So going up, if it crosses this line in 1 or 2 candles, I take a trade. However, 2 factors for this trade as well. The next candle pushes down. It wasn't that one I entered on. Pushes down below, and every time now I'm actually explaining this, it shows me how absolutely silly this is. So we push down below the previous range and reject from that area. The next candle, however, continues and solidly closes. So now I have the fact that it's pushed past this level with some momentum, really not much, and now we're back into the previous Asian range. So I thought that was going to be a good trade. This is where I'm actually taking a revenge trade. And I even distinctly remember having the thought of, don't revenge trade. This is possibly a revenge trade. But then I added up in my head that, yes, but there's a Fibonacci thing and it fits that. Yes, but now we're going back into the Asian range session part. So it's kind of, creating an opportunity for a trade here. When in reality, as I've just mentioned, we first rejected from this area. Price action is actually saying it wants to go up. We've had this one candle that I'm basing all of this off of. And, I've already taken a sell and it hasn't worked out. So now I'm actually forcing a trade here. I'm revenge trading and it's all ego for 1.66%, a potential 1.66%, when I've already just lost over 1%. It's so interesting because in hindsight, and it's always in hindsight, you see this and think, what on earth were you doing? What on earth were you thinking? But in the moment, you're so caught up, I could be making money right now. I'm about to get into a trade that could make me money. That's the kind of thinking that, you're in, rather than looking at the market and seeing what it is telling you, and, trading based off of that. You caught up in the emotions, and that's why Forex is so psychological. It's because you get caught up in the emotions of what you're thinking rather than what you're seeing. You need to trade based off what the market is telling you based on what you are seeing. But obviously, for you to understand what it is telling you, you need to understand how to read the market, and that's a very key thing. If you can't read the market, then it's not a good idea to try and trade. And right now I was reading the market and deciding to read a whole different story, or create a whole different story. So those are the 2 trades I took. There was actually no other trade that appeared this week until I was looking at the Asian range part. So if we just come out this here, yeah. So over here is the Asian range, I do believe. Actually, the higher the Asian range is over here. Oh, that's interesting. So this could have potentially been a trade, and I don't know how I would have thought about it. If price, I know what I would have thought about it, depending on what the retrace looked like. If we broke this level and looked like a rejection, i.e. either wicked into it or closed, but then solidly retraced, or wicked in and then pushed up, that would have been a good trade and, would have taken it to the other side. However, after market open at 8 o'clock, we didn't get that. So market open on this candle here, and it was in the middle of. So even down here, it if we'd have pushed lower, it would have just created a new Asian range low. But we've had this overall range now, and price has corrected, broken out, and then tried to go down further, failed to, taking out this liquidity actually. which is very interesting. And the liquidity trading is something I want to look into. But with where everything is right now, I need to slow down because I'm trying to jump in too many places at once. But liquidity is quite a nice thing, especially when you know what you're looking for. But it looks like we've taken out liquidity under this area, and actually tapped under this candle here. So any liquidity from under this point has been tapped into, and then we've reversed from that. I don't know if you can hear that, my washing's just doing its thing. I apologize. So that's what price action is currently doing. Come out of this range, tap the liquidity, and now we're reversing. We might reverse, come up, correct, and continue, or we might reverse and come back into this range and just range, or take out these areas of liquidity up here. But it is currently almost 12 p.m, so I am not looking for any more trades at the moment because I don't like trading late into Fridays. And going into Monday and Tuesday, that seems to be quite corrective anyway. But yes, I'm going to write down the things that I've learned. It is also interesting because someone put on my Facebook comment about journaling your trades and journaling your emotions. And that hurt my ego because I do that already. And it hurt my ego because I realized that I don't actually do it properly because I've put that I was feeling calm when I was feeling calm, but also in reality, there were underlying emotions there that I was choosing to ignore. So it's easy to feel calm where you're not feeling a rush of emotions. However, there are underlying tones there being played, which produce whatever direction you then choose to go into, and that's what I was doing. So a lot of ego problems that I have at the moment that needs to get sorted out and put into check, which is always good to learn about, good to know. But it's also something that sometimes you don't choose to acknowledge it. It's easy to blindsight it until the results show what you've done. The results show your emotions. So that's something I want you all to take away from here is pay attention to your emotions, don't ignore them. And if you don't think you've got a certain emotion, you probably do if you're thinking about it, and see what your results are reflecting, especially when it comes to ego and patience. Yeah, that's all for this week. Another educational week. I am currently my account is so I started with 50,000. The aim is to make 10%. So my equity right now on my balance is 48,972. I can't go below 45,000, and I think I have to make 55,000. And I'm going to go before my washing machine takes off. But yeah, that's all for me. Thank you very much. Have a good week. Hope you learned something. Take care. Ta-ra.